The climacteric and menopause, from symptoms to therapies, from security to efficacy. And it's my pleasure to invite Andrea Genazzani, chairman of the conference and chairman of the society, to the podium.
How are you?
And Andrea will cover the topic DT56A, a non-hormonal botanical therapy as a first-line treatment for menopausal symptoms. Andrea?
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. I have the pleasure and honor to start with that session. And as you know, I was one man of the menopause. I was also once president of the International Menopause Society. And I was always looking for what to do, when, and with what substances we have to do. We were fighting with WHI studies and so on about the hormones. And then, since that moment, you have seen that in the world we have a terrible fear of hormone therapy, and then the people, they were moving to look something around. If something exists who can have some clinical effects, but who can have also some efficacy, and can be promising mostly for safety. And then we went some years ago to study that, I'm sorry, it's not going, that one. Can I have the next? Okay. And then we are facing the situation in our offices also now that women are asking for help for symptoms, and we are also to have to try to give to them an answer. And then what kind of options are possible, and what kind of answer. And then we went to see what nature is providing us. The next one. It's not. Please, if you can give me the next slide. Okay, no, the next slide. The mouse is not working well, Okay. Then I want to show you the data originating from a substance that we studied in our lab since many years, which is called DT56A, which is a standardized substance from botanical origin. We have a series of clinical and preclinical studies done on the substance in the years, and also it was a substance which was studied as we were doing with hormones. In fact, publishing the results on leading scientific journal. We had also a huge post-marketing survey on more than 4,000 women, and swift relief within the first month of use in 3 out of 4, not everybody. And we have now 17 years marketing exposure, who give us a lot of clinical experience, and this was produced under strict pharmaceutical conditions. Concerning the efficacy profile, first of all, I want to show you some data, but some data starting at using substances which we already very well know, and then making comparison. This was a study where we make the comparison between Femarel and Activel. As you know, Activel is done by 1 milligram estradiol and norethisterone, and we have evaluated the effect using some typical index. You know, here, this is the Kapperman index, you know, between the no treatment column, the hormone therapy, and DT56. You can see that we have insignificant reduction of Kapperman score, a significant reduction of hot flashes in these groups, and similar between hormone and DT56, while placebo was not efficient. In comparison, it was also important to see that in the same group we evaluate bone mass density, and we've seen that while bone mass density with placebo is declining, bone mass density is not declining neither with the active hormone, but neither with the active DT56A. And then also we have seen that we have no difference on endometrial thickness and on mammography evaluating this group of patients. Then we went to evaluate also to try to see if we have a kind of dose effects. We know very well in hormone that we have a dose effects which is important. And we have evaluated, being a botanical, we have evaluated the standard dose with the half dose that we have called low dose. And it was a study long as 1 year, 12 months of treatment, also on scores such as Kapperman index, estradiol, FSH, endometrial thickness, and breast tissue, which were evaluated every 3 months. And please, I would like to show you that relating to the percentage of people who have a significant relief of hot flashes, 76 of them, and 70% have a joint and muscle pain relief, 68% have headache relief. Then this seems to also to give symptoms on some area of the pain threshold perception, which were very positive, and then either in the group of 12 weeks until the 12 months. And it is important for me to see that if you see the data concerning the 12 months, and the 12 weeks, the first column is the 12 weeks, and the second column is the 12 months. You can see no changes in endometrial thickness at any level, no changes in TSH, but no changes in estradiol, and also no changes in serum FSH. And then we have no monthly bleeding and so on. But this indicates that the treatment have a consistent result and consistent efficacy. Then they went to us, thank you, Secure Pharma, they went to us in Pisa, and together with Nicola Pluchino, we studied the effect on an area where we were leader at the time, to evaluate the effect on the capacity of substances to interfere with the expression of the genes responsible to induce the production of the enzyme who are the basis for the production of allopregnanolone, or also how they are able to interfere in the local endorphin production. In all the, also allopregnanolone, because it's a key substances who have a strong impact on anxiety control, on stress, and also beta endorphin for its series of results. The study was done in the same model of castrated animal, where we give the dose and where we evaluate the different substances effect. We have evaluated different brain areas: the parietal cortex, the frontal cortex, hypothalamus, anterior pituitary, the hippocampus, the neurointermediate lobe, and also the peripheral blood, where we have measured the concentration of allopregnanolone and of beta endorphin. To go with you to the result, I will go, the slides are all done in the same way. You can see here, this is the fertile rat. This is the castrated rat. This is the rat treated with the estradiol valerate at the pharmacological dose. And this is the treatment with ET56 at different concentration. You can see that in the frontal cortex, in the parietal cortex, allopregnanolone is reduced by castration and is restored by estradiol, but also is restored by the ET56. And also, you can see this is if you go in the hippocampus and the hypothalamus, you can see the castration blunt allopregnanolone in the hippocampus and the hypothalamus. Estradiol restored partially, but here significantly restored the concentration, and DT56A have exactly the same effect, restoring the concentration of allopregnanolone. And the same went also in anterior pituitary and in the serum. Then you can see that the castration touch the production of allopregnanolone, means that the castration activates a reduction of the expression of the genes responsible to induce the production of the enzyme who transform progesterone to allopregnanolone. This is completely restored, it's partially restored by estradiol and also by DT56. That what means that DT56 was similar to the administration of estradiol, evidencing an estrogen-like profile of action on brain neurosteroidogenesis. It acts as an estrogen agonist molecule in central nervous system and supports the hypothesis for its definition as a phytoSERV. We have dose-dependent effect on allopregnanolone, and we have a specific responsiveness who differ from one area to the other one. Then we went to examine beta endorphin, also another chapter. We were working on beta endorphin since more than 30 years. You can see beta endorphin is reduced by castration and is restored by estradiol and DT56 in the cortex area, in the hippocampus and hypothalamus area, in the anterior pituitary and neurointermediate lobe. Then you can see that also in peripheral circulation, beta endorphin is strongly, which is blunted by the castration, is restored by DT56 as well as with estrogen. Then we can conclude that concerning beta endorphin in the different region, DT56A have the same effect as we have in estradiol on that concern. Then when you put together what are the effects on the allopregnanolone and the beta endorphin, you can see that if we increase levels in the neocortex, where higher brain function are regulated than the thought and the action, we rise level in anterior pituitary, and then we modulate the stress response reproductive function in the serum. And as beta endorphin, I would like to stress the strong impact in the area where cognition and memory are elaborated, and also in the area where homeostasis, pain control, autonomic nervous system, and neuroendocrine function are also regulated. This means that we have a similar profile to that we have estradiol, antagonizing in young animal the castration effect. And then, now going on to more clinical study again, another chapter to evaluate the effect of estrogen was always to evaluate what happened in the bone mass density. And in the bone mass density, we have evaluated two different groups, one with the standard dose and one with the lower dose with calcium. And you can see that from the data, you can see here that the standard dose provide a beautiful changes, a positive changes in bone mass density by DEXA. There were a study done in 1 year treatment. We need a longer time, certainly. And when we have made some studies in animal models, also we have the model of the castrated animal and looking what they are doing, you can see here, this is the intact rat, this is the intact rat, the ovariectomy after 2 months. You can see how is the structure of the bone. This is the positive effect of estradiol. This is the positive effect of the T56. Then either on trapebones as well on cortical bone, it has similar effect as estradiol. And concerning the mechanism of action, we have evaluated some substances who refer the osteoblast activity, such DNA synthesis and also alkaline phosphatase and CK activity. And we have evaluated to try to better understand what it should be, the action. And you can see here that this is the kinase profile, this is the DNA synthesis, and then this is femarel and this is estradiol, and this is alkaline phosphate, absolutely the same. Then this means that it has the same effect also on the bone, in the structure, but also going to see the activation of osteoblasts. And what is interesting? If you evaluate bone marrow content of fat cells, is depending of the structure of the bone marrow, of many of trabecules, how we structure the bone. And you can see here that if you see this is in animal always, this is the overectomized control, this is the intact, the overectomized control. Please look how many fat cells are present in the overectomized bone. Look, estradiol, absolutely, very low, and also femarel, very low. This is raloxifene, slightly more, absolutely more than with estradiol and T56, and this is just the different substances coming from the soya, natural soya, genistein and daidzein, because what we have seen is that the soya substances in several studies, they are found to have an effect on the bone, while the T56A is a digested product coming originally from soya, but it's a digested product who develop this capacity by extraction. Then the study on vaginal atrophy, another of the measured target of the estrogen deficiency. And you can see here, these are the changes in the vaginal pH. You can see before and after. And when you go to see also the maturation index, this is the percentage of parabasal cell, how it's going down, the percentage of intermediate cells in this subject, and the percentage of superficial cell at the end of the study. You can see how also at that level the estrogenic effect is certainly clear. And when we have in some studies, in some individuals, they were treated 2 years, and you can see here with the profile of superficial, intermediate and parabasal cell after 2 years of treatment. You can see the absolute, nearly total prevalence with that exception of intermediate and superficial cell, showing that this effect is also maintained then going on with the treatment. Then concerning the safety, I would like to make your attention on one point, which is the breast cancer. This is the women are afraid from the breast cancer, and the fear of breast cancer is touching this treatment. And this is a study done on a model, a cellular model on MCF7 cells, which were incubated 96 hours in an estrogen-depleted medium, then exposed to pharmacological concentration of estradiol and of DT56, and then these doses were growing. Please look the difference in the effect. And the exposure, we can reach the DT56 dose to 66,000 times the concentration needed for the treatment to show any minimal effect. That is strongly reassuring. It's acting on that way, but you need, not on pharmacology, we have to eat only the, just to have an effect on the cancer cell is impossible at that way. Then another area is the clotting. Is the estrogen, oral estrogen, they can activate the clotting system. And we have a beautiful study done by Lila Nachtigall in New York. She examined women, and then she examined women for their clotting risk, and then she exposed them to estrogen, transdermal estrogen, or oral estrogen, or to fumarate. And she selected, in that group of individuals, she selected the patients who have normal clotting times, borderline, the borderline, she exposed them to oral estrogen or transdermal, and those who have already a genetic testing who indicate the existence of an abnormal, of an individually abnormal clotting activation because for the genetic characteristic of the individual. In the group of borderline, where she examined the effect of oral and transdermal, she confirmed that transdermal estrogen, they have no effect on clotting, while oral estrogen, they have something that we will know. But I want to focus your attention on that one. She has studied 4 ladies with factor 5 laden, 1 mutant for prothrombin, 1 proteinase deficiency, and 1 with elevated anticardiolipin antibodies. And she have evaluated their clotting time and using adenosine diphosphate and epinephrine. And then please look the results. Absolutely no effect. Absolutely no effect. This is strongly reassuring in a very high-risk population as these 7 patients. Then, just to be close to the end, I would like to go back to what is the daily life of the women. The women, their life is crossing from birth to the elderly, facing many periods. You have the adolescence, you have the fertile time, you have the beautiful pregnancy, the beautiful lactation, and so on. But once you cross also the bridge between premenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And at that point, you can see here that these are the symptoms of that time. Irregular period, depleted energy levels, irritability, sleep disturbances, loss of skin flexibility, wrinkles, mood changes, and weight gain in premenopause. In premenopause, not after menopause. This starts in premenopause. And in menopause, vasomotor symptoms, irritability, anxiety, insomnia, fatigue, palpitation, loneliness, loss of libido, vaginal atrophy, but not only vaginal atrophy, also atrophy of all the pelvic floor muscles. And then in the postmenopause, vaginal atrophy, increased urinary tract infection, joint and muscle age, depression, insomnia, lower energy level, bone loss. It's something very bad. Most of women who are seated here, this is true, but you have not to think about it. You have not to think about it. You have to try to correct it and to cross over it, knowing that this is what in nature is normally. This is the image of what is in the generality of the population. But we have to try to go on with products that we can start earlier, before the menopause. Because also before the menopause, we have seen, given the DT56A, we have tried in premenopausal women, we don't interfere in the normal process of latest menstrual cycle. Then, dear friends, being a man of hormones, I want to conclude that we all need a treatment that has the scientific foundation that we feel comfortable to recommend. This is something fundamental for we clinicians, and offering the necessary efficacy by targeting the estrogen receptor while minimizing risk. And DT56As offer a first-line treatment for menopause in its different stages without women reservation. With both hormonal and non-hormonal options, we will be able to individualize the treatment without compromising our integrity and choosing those who don't respond to go to the hormone therapy. Provide women the ability to enjoy healthy aging while detaining the development of postmenopausal disease has to be our task and our engagement. Then, dear friends, I think all of you to be here. And I hope that I've given you some point of reflection, that also from nature we can try to have substances who can act in the similar way as the hormone that nature or God give us, they are doing. I thank you very much for your attention.